First, bringing attention to the posture. Allowing the spine to lift gently out of the pelvis, gently off the cushion or the chair. Allowing the head to rest on top of the spine. Bringing an energetic quality to the center of the body, but not stiff or rigid. Letting the arms just fall gently from the shoulders. Letting the hands be relaxed, but intentional in the lap. Bringing a sense of energy balanced with settledness, an open receptivity to the present. Finding the breath in a place in the body where we can feel it strongly, comfortably, at the nose or the belly, in the chest. Keeping the attention maybe on the breath or on another object of meditation, if you have one. While holding the whole body in awareness, feeling the breath, energy in the whole body. sense of balance, a new sense of open receptivity in the body to permeate the mind. That same balance of energy, free of anxiety, and relaxation, free of dullness. As we move into silent meditation, just brightening the mind a bit by bringing up any feelings of gratitude for the space, people in the space, holding the space. Any sense of appreciation for the conditions that allowed us to be here. Any sense of our own generosity. Our own goodness. Just letting the recollection of those things, those felt senses of real actions, permeate the body and the mind and uplift the body and the mind. And then as the mind wanders off or becomes dull or uninterested, just bring it back. Bring it back gently to the breath, to the body, to the balance. And be welcoming. Be welcoming. Okay. The streets must be really dirty today. Welcome to our urban refuge. I start. It's okay. See, everyone gets a turn. I start every reflection period with a reading from Ajahn Chah, sort of the Thai monk who lived in the last century, and is sort of the head of our lineage, the Ajahn Chah lineage. Conditions exist through change. You can't prevent it. Just think, could you exhale without inhaling? Would it feel good? Or could you just inhale? We want things to be permanent, but that can't be. It's impossible. If you know that all things are impermanent, all your thinking will gradually unwind, and you won't need to think too much. Whenever anything arises, all you need to say is, "Oh, another one." Just that. Any speech which ignores uncertainty is not the speech of a sage. um, I've been thinking about that kind of middle way between too much effort, not enough effort, too much thinking, not enough thinking. What is the right amount? What's the middle way? It's a good question. It's a fair question when we're on this path. When we're, especially in the West, we're really taught to overdo it. Many of us started school when we were 3 or 4, and then kept on for the next 15 years. And then a lot of us went another 4 years, and then another 2 years, and then maybe did another 2-year stint, and some ongoing certifications beyond. And what we've really learned, is how to learn, how to soak up information and analyze it and use it usefully, hopefully skillfully for the betterment of ourselves and others. But it can be too much to have everything up here when we need it down here. And this training, is a training of embodiment. It's a training of practice, learning a little and practicing a lot. Not learning a lot, oh, hello, and practicing a little. It's almost like in the West, for some of us, we have to unlearn a lot to drop into the body, out of the head, to settle into the rhythm of the breath, which is, pretty boring, and stay there and just see the results of bringing our heart, our attention. What did Beth say last week? What you put your heart upon? Something like that. Putting your heart upon. What you bring your heart to. And giving ourselves the space and the time to see if it works. To see it, and of course, the question is, what is working? What does it mean if it's working? What does it look like if it's working? Well, it looks like more ease, more peace, more presence, more happiness, more generosity, more gratitude, less anxiety, less anger, less confusion. So that's what we're looking for. Oh, is what I'm doing leading to goodness for myself and others? Or is what I'm doing leading to more anxiety, more churning, more seeking? Ajahn Sao, who goes back a couple of generations of Thai monks, was known for many things, but one of them was not saying much, not teaching much, even though he had a lot of students. And he would be asked, "What do I do? Tell me what to do." And he would say, "Go recite Buddho while you're breathing." And his students would say, "Why?" Or, "And then what?" And he would say, "Just do it." And then come back and tell me how it felt. I'm paraphrasing here. Come back and tell me how it felt, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there. And it takes a lot of faith to try one simple thing. It takes a lot of faith to plug in to a community like this with teachers who have been at it for many years. Ajahn Pasano, who is our spiritual advisor, who lives in California. He just commemorated, I don't know if he celebrates, commemorated 50 years in robes. That's a lot of meditating, a lot of practice. And he keeps things very simple. But I trust him. So when he says, "Go try this," I just go try it. And it's very easy for me to put everything else down and give it a whirl. And there's a lot of peace in that. There's a lot of settledness in that. And it takes, to a degree, a confidence in myself that I'll be able to evaluate the results. I can take something that somebody says, a very, simple instruction, and try it on for myself and evaluate the results. I don't have to worry that I'm going to head off in the wrong direction, because I've learned how to know if it's the right direction. So I'm not afraid to try things. I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I'm not afraid to do something that doesn't work. because I know what the results look like. And that's worth developing, is this ability to evaluate our experiences. And so we can really dip into those experiences, we can sink into them, try them on fully, and then see for ourselves, is it working? Is there an ease arising, a peace arising, gentleness arising, confidence arising, a right effort arising, zeal arising? What's coming up? I can see I'm headed in the right direction. And what we're doing here, of course, is making ourselves happy. That's the whole point. The whole idea is to create happiness in ourselves that's not conditioned by whatever comes up. But 95% of that is not about what's happening on the cushion. To create happiness in ourselves, we're out in the world using kind speech, engaging in generous acts, bringing up gratitude for that which has been given to us, being gentle. Caring for our relationships and our things. When we're out in the world creating conditions for our own happiness, we'll sit down on the cushion after years speaking for myself, and no remorse comes up, no worry, no anxiety, no second guessing. It's not because I sat hours and hours on the cushion that helped, but the sitting is a mirror. The sitting tells us where we're at. You close your eyes and it's silent and nobody is distracting you. It tells us where we're at. That's all we're doing on the cushion, for quite a bit of it is just seeing. Oh, oh, that's uncomfortable. I don't like that. I don't like what I'm seeing here. And then over time, oh yeah, actually this feels really good. Oh, I made that. I did that. I created those conditions. It feels very sweet to sit here in a bit of happiness that I created for myself. And then that translates off the cushion. It's a virtuous cycle. So, as we head into the holidays and might be coming in contact with other people and eating too much and maybe engaging in a lot of busy activity, we can just keep in mind, what are the causes for happiness? Oh, being kind in my speech, or silent, or serious, being honest, being straightforward, being generous, bringing generosity, bringing up gratitude, getting some space, These are all conditions that bring up our own happiness. And then, as they might say in our tradition, then don't overcomplicate it. Just enjoy the results of our good actions and our good intentions. And then at the same time, keeping an eye on where we could improve or try again next time or do something a little differently. That's all it is. We're building the skill of goodness, as it says in the Metta Sutta, building the skill of goodness. It's one action, one reflection at a time. All right, I'll leave it there and open it up for questions or sharing, comments, experiences. Yeah, Jessica.
I have a question about practice.
Mm-hmm.
So lately I've been doing, for my morning sit, just really focusing on practicing metta. And what I find is if I think about anyone specifically or think about sort of suffering categories of people, beings, I can get, I guess, overwhelmed with sadness. To a point of, I know we're not meant to sort of enter into someone else's suffering, right? There's a compassionate practice of being with. And I wonder if you have any sort of just practical advice for cultivating that, whatever that is that allows us to not kind of go over the brink into really taking on someone else's pain or suffering.
Yeah. Well, so what are you doing in metta practice instead of that then? Have you developed a method for?
No, that's why I'm seeking advice. It's, the way I was originally trained in metta practice was just sort of this sort of vague kind of beaming out positivity, and really can only be practiced when one is already in a very buoyant state.
Yeah.
But some of what I've been learning in this tradition is really cultivating metta almost as maybe as an antidote to some aversive feelings.
Yeah.
I've been having this experience of kind of getting swept away with sadness, which is really just another form of aversion, right? It's a softer form maybe than hostility, but I tend to kind of get, kind of stuck there with this very porous state of really kind of taking on the pain of either the world or loved ones or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So with metta on the cushion, we don't have to involve other people until we're ready to involve other people. And what's interesting about cultivating metta on the cushion is we don't really know what metta means. It doesn't have a good definition. I like Ajahn Jeff's definition the best, goodwill, but what is that? What is that? What does that mean? How does that even come up? How do we cultivate goodwill? And what brings up goodwill, so I'll skip forward, but what brings up goodwill naturally is seeing the lovableness in other people, right? So you see someone, or a being, or a dog. So you see another being in your life, you see what's good about them, and it brings up this natural feeling of goodwill. You want to take care of them, you want to help them, you want to do what they need, you want to draw near to them. And but what the problem is that we don't see the lovableness in other people sometimes, or certain people, a person, whatever it is, we have a hard time seeing the lovableness of other people and other people. And so down the road, that's what we're sort of learning how to cultivate, is what is lovable, what is beautiful, what is good about the people in front of me, the beings in front of me, the conditions in front of me. We're training the mind toward the beautiful, toward what is good. Not what is positive or anything sort of manufactured, but what is good, what's lovely. But before that, developing metta on the cushion is training our minds on what is lovely and good about ourselves. And so we're building that metta within by seeing the lovableness in ourselves. And how I do that is just how I did it for a couple minutes in the guided meditation, which is to reflect on good things that I've done today or yesterday or over the years, reflect on my own generosity. This is the teaching that the Buddha taught to lay people to brighten the mind. Where have I been generous? Where have I been offering goodness to others? Where have I been kind? And then it's hard to do that. Like, it's hard to feel like that's worth it. It almost feels sort of manufactured, okay, I'm going to list the things I'm good at, or where I've brought my integrity, where I've brought my generosity, where I've brought my gratitude, where I've brought helping and ease and kindness. But actually the Buddha placed an enormous emphasis on recollection, like literally recalling the things that we want to remember, the things that we want to embody. So on the cushion, we start with us, and just think about it as brightening the mind. And then we can also bring to mind things that are inherently sort of beautiful, like the Buddha, the characteristics of the Buddha, the characteristics of the Dhamma, the goodness of the Sangha. We're bringing the mind to what is beautiful, to what is useful, to what is skillful, to what is lovely, to feel that metta arise, that goodwill arises naturally when that's where we put the mind. And then in terms of helping ourselves be compassionate in terms of the definition that the Buddha gave us, which was not to suffer with, like we learn at Catholic school. It's not to suffer at all when we see suffering or difficulty or stress. It's a huge ask. And so the first thing is to really work up that metta, in a smart way in our meditation and out in the world. So we know what it feels like. So we're grounded in it. So it's the water that we swim in. And then remembering, that compassion, the literal cause for compassion in this framework is seeing the suffering of others. So when we see the suffering of others, if the mind is in a skillful place, compassion arises naturally. But if it's tinged with aversion or pity or sadness, then it's a bit sullied. And what helps me to remember is compassion is that intrinsic interest in helping. It's like seeing what's hard and what's difficult and what's sad, and then helping out. Like, oh, I want to help. Like, that's what brings up sadness, right? Oh, I want to help, but I can't. Or, but I can't enough. Or, but it's too big. there's not enough I can do. But what we can do is we can train the mind to look at the other bit, the bit that's not selfing. Oh, I want to help. I think I can help. I can help with something. And then we move there. Like this morning, I come from Vancouver and I drive past this intersection where there's always one fellow or another sort of needing money. And I hardly have money anymore because of cash, cashless, everything's cashless. But my mother, God bless her, still sends me money in the mail. I'm 50, but she sends me money. You're probably going to be sending your kids money in 20 years. And this morning I saw this fellow and I wanted to help him, but I couldn't help him. And then I remembered that my mother, sent me a 50. Woo! And I don't actually need that 50 for much. I mean, I could. There are things, plenty of things. There's always car repair. But actually what I think I want to do is break that 50 into fives and just keep them in my car, And so right away I thought, how can I help? I can help this way. And now it's not going to fix everything. I can't fix everything. But I let my mind go to that sweet place of, how can I help? And then I thought of something right away. And that feels really good. Did that help? I'll check back. You're already glowing, so there can't be that much more work to be done. Anybody else? No digital hands?
A small comment.
Oh, yeah.
One definition of metta that's been really helpful for me is that kind of genuine wish for the well-being of oneself or others. And then kind of related to compassion, that genuine wish for the alleviation of suffering. So in the chant, again, the first part, but in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. So that I kind of really felt wishing for the well-being of beings.
Yeah. We want them to be happy and safe and at ease. Thank you. All right, we did it. So before we end, we'll end with a chant on page 41. I like this chant that we end with nowadays because it wishes everybody, wishes ourselves well, to be free from hostility and ill will and all of that. But then it wishes everybody else well. And then it reminds us that we have to do the work. So it covers all the bases.